Welcome to the United Stand. Still can't get that. Hello, everybody. Got to pronunciate it better. And welcome to the United Stand. Ighalo fighting talk wants Martial spot. Ollie fighting talk once more time. And Nicky Butt talking about Manchester United's recruitment policy and why youth is the way forward. Three big topics, other things to talk about as well. Grealish, McTominay injury update. Lots and lots to talk about. And we're hopefully going to take some of your calls on the Discord as well. So if you're on there, get yourself ready. We will be hopefully taking some of your calls in a few minutes time as well. But I just want to say as well, I'm a little bit late tonight for a reason. It is February the 5th and tomorrow is February the 6th, the most important day in the Manchester United calendar as we remember those who lost their lives and careers at Manchester United in the Munich tragedy. I'm a little bit late because I've just been editing a video that we're putting up tomorrow and I wanted to watch it all. It's about 20 minutes long. It's an interview with somebody who was alive at that time, a Manchester United fan. We actually interviewed them last year at the 60th anniversary in Munich and wanted to get a longer interview with them, but we managed to arrange a couple of weeks ago. It's absolutely a brilliant watch and I know brilliant's probably not the word because it's to do with the tragedy. But I would implore everybody to watch it tomorrow, to find the 20 minutes when it goes up and watch it from start to finish, because you'll start to understand what this club's all about and why people get so passionate about it and why it's just, you can't just let injustices or things that aren't making you happy in the club lie, because this club is a religion to a lot of fans, and that is why there is division, I suppose, and that is why people get very passionate, and that is why when people say, oh, just back them, no, I think we know what this club should all be about. So big video tomorrow going up, and do definitely give it a watch. It's well worth it. Anyway, let's talk about the present, Manchester United Football Club, and look, what an interview by Ighalo today, Odion Ighalo on the United YouTube channel. Fantastic interview, over the moon. It's like me or you playing for Manchester United. He's absolutely over the moon for it. He mentioned the pay cuts. This is a dream for him. There's a real buzz around this signing, and some real fighting talk as well. Talking about how Martial and Rashford like to play from the side, and United need somebody to play down the centre who is strong, and he believes he can do that role. So all the right talk, all the right positivity, and absolutely 100% has got everybody behind him. He's almost a fan favourite without kicking a ball, and it's amazing really, because I still agree with what Gary Neville said. 9 months they knew Lukaku was going to leave, and they're trying to do a deal with 9 hours to go with somebody who is, I think, linked to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's agent, just like Josh King was. So it was very desperate and very, very late, as we know, but we can't hold that against the player, and I'm intrigued to see what he can do. It's not his fault. He is a United fan, massively popular. I think he's massively popular with us already, and he will go out there and give it his all. But as I've said before, this is a player who's played in China for 3 years, and effort is something that Solskjaer definitely holds high. We're going to talk about his comments in a minute, but he's going to have more than effort. He's going to have hopefully some of the stuff he had when he used to play for Watford, because if he has deteriorated and he hasn't got that, he isn't going to offer us that much, and I'm really hopeful that he will, though. It was a very good interview, but it's what he does on the pitch ultimately that is going to matter, isn't it? But encouraged by it, and look, he knows what his job is. We know what his job is. If you didn't watch the video at lunchtime talking about what is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's best 11 while we've got the injuries, and then I did it at best 11 when we haven't got the injuries, you can check that out on the homepage. But Ighalo, for me, has to go into the team as soon as his fitness is up, and you push Martial out to the left, and Ighalo's right. We do need that. With no Pogba in the team and only Bruno the creator, we can't have... I think Martial, Rashford, Dan James as a front three is a very good front three when it's got Pogba and Fernandes behind it. But when it's got Matic and Fred and Bruno behind it, it's not enough. There's not enough creativity there, and I think Fred and Matic have done a great job. But with only Bruno as the creativity, we need Pogba back before we go back to that front three, and Rashford back obviously as well. So yeah, a little interesting comments about Ighalo, but very interesting comments from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well. Now I don't know where these quotes have come from, but I read it on Bleacher Report, I read it on the Mirror, and they're quoting, I think it was the Standard, and they are quoting quotes from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And what he's basically saying is, look, the fans know as well as I do that it's going to take time. I've had to rip the roof off at the club. It's a total rebuild of the club. There were some players that I had to get rid of that their minds were there, but almost like their bodies weren't. Time. Give me more time. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because I still want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to shut up about talking about time. I don't believe the time thing. I don't see why he keeps going on about the time thing, apart from it's just a big excuse. You've been here over a year. You talk about time, and we don't know your philosophy. We don't know your tactics. We've not had any glimpse of it yet. So I don't know. It's almost like he thinks he's knocked everything down and he's just playing around with the foundations. Like, there are players at that football club that should be doing far better than they are. The results should be far better than they are. And I do disagree with him when he says that, it's been a long process. I had to come into the club and tear it apart and get rid of the wrong players and start bringing the right players in. Absolute over-exaggeration of the situation he inherited from Jose Mourinho. He inherited a situation from Jose Mourinho that was not a total mess, because if it was a total mess, we wouldn't have gone on an amazing run for 3 months. You can't have it one way and then not have it the other. That's what she said. You can't do that, because you can't say the club was in absolute turmoil when I took it over and then go on an unbeaten run for 3 months and get manager of the month, and play really, really well. The truth is somewhere in between. United have been a mess pretty much since Sir Alex Ferguson left, because how do you replace somebody like that? But we've had good enough players to achieve better. And let's not forget, Jose Mourinho had took those same players to second place 4 months before Ollie took over. So I don't agree with it. I think we're always looking for time, and he's always saying these fans understand that we need more time. I don't think that they do. I think there's very few United fans now that think that the problems we've got are because we need time. We know we need time to become a title contender. I don't think any United fan thinks we need time to finish fifth. We don't. We should be fourth this season. That is my opinion. But also of interest, I think, and I want to get your thoughts on that, definitely do call in. But what I would say is, as well, he said he's had to get rid of the players who were here in their minds. Sort of like saying they're going through the emotions. So I just quickly, before we went online, well, I did it about an hour ago, to be fair, because I was watching that Munich thing. But I listed the 8 players that he got rid of. And I found this comment interesting. I had to get rid of players that weren't here in their minds. Now, my interpretation of that is, these are players who are freeloading. These are players that aren't committed to the cause anymore. Because he then goes on to say that I've now got players who will go that extra yard. But we're 7th, Ollie. You've got a team that you're happy with that will go the extra yard, but you're 7th. Again, I think we get lost in this effort thing. Oh, they're going to run through the brick walls for me. But where's the talent? Where's the result? You're saying that you've got rid of players that won't run that extra yard, and you've got players now that will run that extra yard, but we're in the worst situation we've been in since 1989. So somewhere he's just got to stop talking about time and have. I think a few home truths at this point would be really endearing. Really endearing. I've already said Ole Gunnar Solskjaer stays in the job till May for me. Then we make the decision. No Champions League football, off your trot. Champions League football, you've got something to build with. But to keep talking about time, I'd like him to come out and say, look, this season's been terrible. I acknowledge it's the worst season we've had since 1989. But I believe in myself, I believe in my players, and I think we will get there. And I think you'll see that over the next few months. That would be an acknowledgement of the awfulness we've endured, but also a bit of positivity between now and May. But when you look at the 8 players that he's moved on, that weren't here in mind, and I interpret that they were deadwood players who weren't going to give it. Right, Lukaku, Sanchez, Valencia and Darmian, 4 of the 8 players, I would say, all right then, yeah, maybe they were just here in mind, maybe they had their ideas, they were looking elsewhere, maybe they weren't committed to the cause in relation to Lukaku, Sanchez, Darmian and Valencia for different reasons, okay? But 50% of the players, I disagree. Fellaini, although I wanted to sell him, you could never say he wasn't committed to the cause. He was one of those players who ran through brick walls for us. A lot of you liked him for it. I couldn't stand him as a footballer. I was glad we got rid of him. But I don't think you could ever say that Fellaini wasn't committed to the cause and his mind wasn't on the job. Herrera definitely couldn't say that. We let his contract run down. That's why he left. One of the most committed players that we had. Ashley Young, again, not a big fan of Ashley Young, but I would never say he wasn't committed to the cause. And who else? Chris Smalling, another player. You could never say that Chris Smalling wasn't committed to the cause. You could say he was a bit calamitous at times, but again, not committed to the cause. So I think when Ollie sort of makes out that he's cleared the deadwood and he's cleared the players that weren't committed to the cause, I think 50% of the players that went actually had the right mentality. So again, it's just half-truths, I think, are the problems around Manchester United at the moment. And I just would like to see a little bit of an acknowledgement that, actually, a little bit of ownership, not onanism, that's something completely different, look it up, a little bit of ownership about what is going on at the club and, self-reflection. It is not Jose Mourinho's fault that you are where you are now over a year after he got sacked. It isn't. It's your fault. And it's the people around you. And it's the people above you. And it's the people playing for you. Own the problem. Then you'll find the solution. Stop using time as an excuse. Because tomorrow never comes. It's always today. And what are you doing today, Ollie? That's what you need to look at. Excuses are the biggest weakness of a lost soul. Making excuses up. You can't. You've got to start owning it. And that will come with experience, hopefully. Also, I want to talk about what Nicky Butt said. So Nicky Butt talking about the youth and quite rightly highlighting how many youth players we do sign now. We buy a lot of players and we've been doing it for probably 3 or 4 years. So it's not a new thing under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But Nicky Butt saying that Ollie totally is into the fact that, we've got to bring our own young players through. And Nicky Butt also saying that, because obviously Nicky Butt's a big part of this at Manchester United, that, you look at the amount of money it costs to buy players now, it's obvious that you've got to create your own. And that's the way that Ollie wants to do it. And I agree with that to a certain point. And I think everybody today was reading that going, Nicky Butt's spot on. I think he is half spot on. Again, I think with United, it's always half a story, isn't it? And not deliberately. I think what Nicky Butt, that's his job. His job is to get players through the youth into the first team. So he's exactly right to say that. But I would love Manchester United to go and win titles with players that have exclusively come through our youth setup, whether we bought them at 16 or they've come through from like 8 years of age. I would love that because it is homegrown or it's youth players coming through. But history shows us this cannot be the case. This cannot be the case. We have got no leaders. We have got no experience. We can bring as many young players through as we want, but they will not take us to a title because that's just not how it works. We need 3 or 4 Bruno Fernandes players. We need Pogba to stay, which he probably won't, so we need to replace him. We need players to come in who are, it's very hard to get a Roy Keane, an Eric Cantona, a Peter Schmeichel, a Steve Bruce, but class of 92 came into a team that had 3 or 4 experienced leaders in there, whether it was Keane or Cantona or Schmeichel. What have we got? We haven't got that. So these young players come through. Take Dan James. I know he's not a young youth player, but he's a young player. Starts off really well. He's living the dream. Reality bites. Where are the people to nurture him? Where are the people to, tell him what to do, give him arm around the shoulder on the pitch, And we've not seen that with Dan James. So all these young players can come through, but we still need to add in 2 or 3 Bruno Fernandes type players. Players that are in their mid-20s, 27 tops. They can give us 4 or 5 years, 6 or 7 years, but they come in with experience. And I think, one player I would say that might be pretty good at that, and you're going to laugh at me, is Jack Grealish. Because Jack Grealish, as I understand it, is 24. He'll be 25 next year or this year. And I think someone like Jack Grealish would be absolutely perfect for Manchester United. I really do, because he would bring experience in relation to what he's done in the Championship and what he's done for Villa in a relegation side. He's got experience that he can pass on. Paper thin squad, don't believe it's over exaggeration. Squad was thin before he got here, it's worse now. Just give us next season, I believe he can do something, says you unlucky. It's funny, I was doing a podcast today, thanks for the contribution there. I was doing a podcast today on this, and sorry, I don't know what's going on here. I'm having a problem with my live comments. It's all playing up a little bit today. I was doing a podcast today, actually, for EIF, and they said to me, are you one of those fans that want Solskjaer to get another year? And I said, no, I'm not. I actually, this is not the United stand, this is me, my opinion. I find it quite frustrating that there are still United fans out there saying, you've got to give him another year. I'd give him until next January next year. I'd give him next season. I just don't get that. I have a problem with it because it's not an opinion I share. It's your opinion. I don't have to agree with it. That's the whole point. You don't have to agree with mine. You don't have to agree with it. That's absolutely fine. Grealish is a certainty, Mark, says Pete Squire. Well, apparently on Grealish, they're quoting up to 80 million. And I saw a funny tweet this afternoon saying, what do we get for 80 million? His grandkids and everything else. Like, he's not worth that. So, Grealish is not worth 80 million. I'd go 50 million tops, especially if they get relegated. But it's... sorry, I've got to check something here. We've had a few problems today. It's getting on my nerves now. No, it should be alright. Okay. Somebody had a problem with their audio, but I think it's fine now. Everything's set up okay, that's fine. So, yeah, I mean, Grealish, I think, would be good. But we do need, we do need 2 or 3 experienced players to come into that club. And I'm not talking 30-year-olds. I'm talking like 25, 26. They would be really good. But going back to what I was saying there, it does frustrate me. I do respect everybody's opinion, but sometimes opinions do frustrate me. And I do get frustrated when I do hear United fans saying, give him another year. It bubbles up in me and I go, why? Why do you have to set that, give him another year? Why do you have to give him another year? Why does Ole Gunnar Solskjaer deserve another year? Surely David Moyes deserved another year then. Van Gaal deserved another year. Mourinho deserved another year. I don't agree that they did. I thought the writing was on the wall. I thought they were sacked at the right time. So for me, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, if this carries on, he's got to be sacked in May. It's as simple as that. In my mind, if this continues, he must be sacked in May because it's not good enough. And he's had long enough. And I can't see any improvement. I see no improvement from the day he got the job to today. That's when it went wrong. He got the job at the start of April and we've been crap ever since. Consistently crap since end of last season and all of this season. So if this continues to May, he's got to go. I don't want him here next August. As much as I like the guy, I don't want him here next August. So I don't get those people who say give him another transfer window, give him another year, because I see managers in League One who have no money and are mid-table clubs but play good football because they're coached well. I see clubs in the bottom half. I've seen Norwich play good football even though they're going to get relegated. I know what their manager's all about. I know what the philosophy of Norwich Football Club is. I know their tactics. I know how they want to play football. I know how Southampton want to do it. I know how Nigel Pearson wants to do it. I know how nearly every team in the Premier League wants to play or does play football. I don't know what we do, apart from counter-attacking. So I don't want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as manager next year unless I see change and improvement over the next few months. And if we get that, and if we get Champions League football, then he must be given another year. But if he doesn't, my personal opinion is, why would you keep him? Why would you keep a manager? Just because he's an ex-legend of the club? That's my opinion anyway. Like you said, Mark, there isn't much between Madders and Jack. I'd take Jack, captain, leader, bags of ability. We need more of that, and I love the geezer, says Toby Aladapu. I think it's very important in relation to what Nicky Butt is saying about bringing players through, that if we're going to bring lots of youth players through, we must bring 2 or 3 players like Bruno Fernandes into the club who are experienced and can bring experience to our team. I think Harry Maguire does it. I think Bruno Fernandes does it. Dan James obviously doesn't, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka doesn't because they're young players. We need a couple more players like Maguire and Bruno Fernandes who can just bring us some experience into that side and leadership. And I think Jack Grealish is a very good player to highlight because he is a leader for Villa. And Maddison, I prefer Maddison. I'd be happy with Maddison, but I think I wouldn't be unhappy with Grealish because of that. And I would like a striker with a bit of leadership. I would. And it's hard to think who in the modern game can come and play for United in that sort of, who is like 26, 27, who is a United quality striker. It's very difficult. But we do need a couple of players like that. Even Southampton is playing good football now against Tottenham, says Dammy Wright. Yeah, I forgot that was on actually. I was going to do that. Right, I want to take some of your calls, but a couple of other things. Scott McTominay's been talking to the press. I'm very intrigued as to when Scott McTominay and Paul Pogba are going to be back from injury. I think it's really important that we get them back. But McTominay had a bad injury, and neither of them are going on the winter break training camp next week. So that suggests they're not going to be back for Chelsea. Got lots and lots of games coming back. Scott McTominay himself hasn't put a date on it. He said, it's difficult getting back and he can't rush himself back, which I think is important. But Ollie did allude to the fact that he expected them back in February. So I think, I know we've got Chelsea, then we're playing Genk at home in the first leg of the Europa League. I wouldn't be pushing Pogba or McTominay back for either of those games, really. Then I think we've got Watford on the Sunday, and then we've got Genk. So maybe bring them back after that when we've got Everton and the cup game against Derby. Maybe that would be for the best. I just think we can look, the important game, we're going to beat Genk over 2 legs. I would expect we will do that. So the important games are Chelsea and Watford, and I think that Fred and Matic and Bruno can deal with that. But the Chelsea game is going to be absolutely massive, isn't it? Let him buy players he wants, then he will show his style of play, says Bichel. Oh, you see, I think that sort of comment there really exposes you as somebody that's naive to the way that football works, unfortunately. And I don't like to say that, but I've never heard such tosh in all my life. Let him buy players he wants, then he will show his style of play. So basically, a football manager must have the 11 players that they want before they can show you what they're all about. Why didn't Klopp need that then? Why didn't Lampard need that? Why didn't Brendan Rodgers need that? You know, if you're a good coach, you coach with what you've got. You show your style of play, and Ollie doesn't do that. So I know that's a bit harsh. Maybe you want to call in and tell me I'm being harsh, but I don't agree with this nonsense argument that when he gets the players he wants, he'll play the way he wants to play. What a load of crap. We're not a pub team. We're not trying to get rid of a couple of overweight forwards and get somebody who can actually run around in. We're Manchester United Football Club. We've got good players. If he's got a philosophy, he should still be playing it whilst also thinking, I can improve that position, I can improve that position. We haven't seen it yet. And I don't know why we haven't seen it, but maybe there isn't anything to see. We need a manager who unites all these new signings. I do not think Ollie is that man, says JB. All I can say about Ollie is I still think it's best if he turns it around because it's less disruption. But I also understand that people say if he goes, the next manager might come in and demand things from Woodward and the board that will put us in a better position. Like the next manager might say, I need this money and I want this director of football or I'm not going to take the job. So, you know, that could be a positive route for us. But Solskjaer's got till May. He's got till May to turn this round. And I tell you what, Bruno Fernandes gives him a great chance. Paul Pogba back gives him a great chance. And I know a lot of people don't like Pogba, but if you look at his stats, as I was saying at lunchtime, this is a guy that averages around chance creation of 2 or 3 chances a game. Well, we're struggling to create 2 or 3 good chances a game. So Pogba's going to improve us. Bruno's going to improve us. And look at the games we've lost this season. We do defend quite well. Nobody's really given us a good hiding, have they? No one's really beaten us 3 or 4-0 many times. And we always lose by the odd goal. So if you get Bruno and Pogba in the team, they create chances. And I don't care what anybody says, Martial will score goals if you give him good chances. And you start scoring a couple of goals a game, you're going to start winning games. Just wanted to say, keep up the good work, says Riff MU. Thank you very much. So that was about McTominay. We've spoken about Grealish. And we've spoken about Ollie. I mean, look, there is something floating around about Solskjaer today. It's not even from today. It's quite an old thing. It's about his agent, Solskjaer, and his links to Ighalo and Josh King, which I've mentioned before, but also a potential criminal investigation. I'm not going to start talking about it on this show. If you want to check where it's all coming from, you can follow me on Twitter and check it on there. We'll have to keep an eye on that. I mean, it's a little bit of a concern, but I don't see how it implicates Ollie, so I'm not going to really address it any further than that. Bringing it back to the football, though, Jamie Redknapp saying that Ollie's playing it safe. I don't really have a lot of time for Jamie Redknapp. I think he talks obvious nonsense, to be honest. But I do agree with that. I think if I could think of 3 words to describe Solskjaer this season, I think playing it safe is probably one of the most accurate, which goes against a lot of what he said in his first 3 months, that United have got to play a certain way. I don't know what made Ollie do that. I don't know what this season it's been diluted, hasn't it? At the start of the season, we used to say, "Why are you playing 4-2-3-1? Please go back to the 4-3-3. Why do you play 2 holding midfielders in every game? Stop doing it." And now we're just used to it. That's just the way he plays. But he definitely is playing it safe. He's definitely playing it safe this season. I don't know what happened over the summer with Ollie, but at some point he bottled it. He absolutely bottled it, because his first 3 months, that's what he was always about at Mulder. 1 holding midfield, playing higher up the pitch. And then over the summer, he decides to go to 2 holding midfielders and sticks with it. I mean, remember the opening game of the season? You got Pogba next to, was it McTominay? 2 holding midfielders. He's done it all season. And I think he does play it safe. I think Ollie's tactic this season, and the coaches in general, has been, let's try not to get beat. And if we can nick a goal, great. And I think that will be a horrible way for him to get the sack. I say this many a time. It's a horrible way for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to get the sack. To actually get the sack because you didn't dare do what you were meant to do. I'm a firm believer that if you're going to go out, you go out doing what you wanted to do. It's a bit like the band on the Titanic, isn't it? You know, they're a band. That's what they do. They played it till it sunk, and I think that's what Ollie should be doing, and I think he has played it safe this season. We need a manager who unites all the... I've read that, thanks JB. Pep doesn't do rebuilds, says Iang Lang Rooney. Well, I don't know why Pep would be coming to Manchester United. And watching you on FIFA makes my day, Mark. Absolute class, says One Rovers Blogs. Yeah, episode 2 today of my Manchester United career mode. I'm doing better than Ollie. I've got more points than Ollie already, but I have lost 2 games. But it was good today. You can watch that on Mark Goldbridge, That's Football, episode 2. I'm really enjoying it. Episode 3 will be tomorrow lunchtime. Do you think they know Pogba is leaving, says Broadmons? Yeah, 100%. 100%. And actually, despite what people think, United's relationship with Real Madrid, especially between Woodward and the Real Madrid negotiator, is actually quite a good relationship. So yeah. Also, I thought we were going to be on the US tour this summer. It's looking like we're not going to America. It's looking like we're going back to Asia again and potentially doing some dates in India. The Manchester United tour this summer. So that's interesting. I was convinced we would be going to America this summer, but apparently not. Apparently not. That's not what's going to happen. Goldbridge as manager, says Scottish Birdie. Yeah, that's never going to happen, is it? Why isn't Bruno cup tied for the Europa League, says Martin Parks? Because he's not. Because he's not. That's basically the answer. That's the rules. He isn't cup tied. I think they've changed the rules with regards to that if you play before the first set. The winter break was much needed. The players were dead, says Alex Kinder. Yeah, look, I'm really, really hopeful that players like Dan James will come back after this break with a new lease of life. I think in his first 4 games he scored 3 goals, and then in his last 23 he's scored none. So yeah, I mean it's sort of the other way round, isn't it? If you look at Pepe, it took him about 23 games to score a goal, didn't it? Whereas with Dan James he hit the ground running. So I think, I know Lingard and Shaw and Delo are out in Dubai doing some training. And why shouldn't they? They've missed most of the season anyway, so why should they should be out doing that there. But yeah, some energy into that team would make a big difference, because I tell you what, they're going to get tired very, very quick. The amount of games we've got to play when we come back, we are literally playing weekend, midweek until the end of March. So damn, wish they came to America, says even Boy. But they might still be coming to America, but I don't. That the rumor is that we're not going to be going to America. If Pogba is being sold, do you think they will spend that money, says Broodmons? I would hope so. They've got to spend money in the summer. Really enjoy your live streams, Mark. It's what I look forward to during the day, says Greg Barker. That's very nice. Did you see Ida Good-Johnson and Hasselbank interview on Sky? They were spot on about the state of Manchester United, says Vedant. I didn't read all of it, Vedant, but I did hear that Ida Good-Johnson, ex of Chelsea, Icelandic international, said that the signing of Ighalo shows that United can no longer attract top strikers. And I actually said, name me a top striker, and I'll say it to you, name me a top striker United have signed in the last 20 years. It's not actually what we do. There is one, maybe 2, but it's not what we do. We don't go out and buy the established striker. So I think the Ighalo thing shows that United haven't got the money. I think that's what it shows. But I don't think it shows, oh, you can't attract top players anymore, because we never really did that. I never really liked us doing that. Van Persie was the one that we did at the top of his game that we brought in. Van Nistelrooy became a top striker, but we got him from PSV after his injury. Andy Cole came in from Newcastle. Dwight York came in from Villa. Solskjaer came in from Norway. So we've always been a club that acquires a talent and makes it a top talent, and I like that. But yeah, so I don't necessarily agree with that. If we attack all game and we lost, the fans would crucify him. He seems scared to play that system after all those guys got hurt last season. Love the show, says Zachary Purvis. I disagree, I think at this stage, what Manchester United fans want to see from Solskjaer, and I would include myself in this, look, let's pretend Manchester United are going to finish on 56 points and they're going to finish 6th, right? That's, no matter what happens, we're going to finish 6th on 56 points in the Premier League, and we're not going to win the Europa League, right? Because they're the 2 main ones. We haven't got Champions League football. So let's pretend right now that it's the end of May, we finished 6th with 56 points and we didn't win the Europa League. Do you sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Yes. Yes, you do. Because that's not a very good points tally and we haven't got in the Champions League, so he's failed. However, it's never as simple as that. We finish with those points and we don't win the Europa League and we keep playing the way we've been playing for the last few months. Do you sack him? Yeah, no improvement, boring, crappy football. However, we finish with that same amount of points and we don't win the Europa League, but we play some really entertaining football over the next few months. we score, we just lose a lot of games because of mistakes, but we do play good football. Do you keep Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Well, that's not clear cut to me, because we could finish on exactly the same points, play absolutely terrible like we have, or we could get exactly the same points but show some progression and good football. And I would say, give him another year. I would. If we see good football with this manager, I would say give him another year. Of course I would. That would change my mind a little bit. But we've got to see that. So what I'm trying to say is he doesn't need to be scared, because if he does play some good football and shows us a path to that, then I think fans would get on board with it. What are your plans in Dublin? Hope to see you then, says 00100 Danielle. Yep, tomorrow we will be releasing the details of the Dublin meetup, which is going to be on Thursday, April the 2nd. I was on the phone today sorting out the location. That is done. So from tomorrow night show, 8 o'clock, tune in, because we can only give away so many tickets. And if you want to be at it, make sure you're watching tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Dublin, April the 2nd. Looking forward to that. Right, I'm going to try and take a few calls, because that's what I wanted to do tonight, and I'm going to do it. It's what I want to do, and I believe that that's what you want me to do as well. Please also make sure that you smash a like on the video as well. You can do that, and subscribe to the channel if you're new also as well. Let's jump in here and pull him in there. Hello, good evening. Can you hear me? You're live on the United Stand. Okay, that's not working there.
Jesse.
Hello, you're live on the United Stand. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Oh, hi, mate. How you doing? All right?
Grand, you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. A little bit of a break. Chris Bark says, imagine Martial striker, Rashford left wing, Bruno centre attacking midfield, and Ziyech right wing. That is a deadly attack. We really should make Ziyech our top priority. I don't understand why that player is not available, to be honest with you. But what do you want to talk about, pal?
Just a few things, like the fact that Ighalo's coming in. Will he improve our attack? I don't know. Personally, I think he might just... Look, I think personally Ollie seems like he's going to play him. He said he'd improve our attack after that Wolves game, like in that game. So personally, I think, look, if he moves Martial out to the left, will that benefit Martial? I don't know, because Martial hasn't been playing the greatest yet. But I have been saying lately that his touch has been a bit poor. But I'm not saying he's a bad player. He is still one of my favourite players. I still think he can achieve a lot. He is a goal scorer on his day at the end of the day. But the thing is, if he gets moved out to the left, he hasn't played that in so long, and he does want to be the main man, that he might feel like what happened under Lukaku when he came, that he was moved to the left. And personally, when Ighalo comes in, yes, he can finish. Yes, he might be able. People say he can finish, but this could be a PR stunt as well. You have to remember some people, because he's an icon in Nigeria for what he did in the AFCON. Like, he was the top goal scorer, so that sells so many shirts already in there. And the thing I'm scared about is if he plays what if he scores a couple of goals and we sign him on a permanent deal for 15 million, because the Chinese league's not up and running right now.
Yeah, I think you make a good point about Martial, because we all say, a lot of people are saying let's move him to the left and put Ighalo down the centre, and I think that would be good, because we massively miss Rashford and Martial can play there. Yeah. But what we've got to take into account is how Martial would react to that, because he might be like, I'm basically being dropped to the left wing, and then you've got an unhappy player. But I don't see how Ighalo fits into the team unless we go with the front two, and we might just play a different formation. He really does seem to like this 5-3-2, so he might just do that.
You see, the thing that scares me is a 5-3-2. I think personally does not work. I was saying to a few other people that a 5-3-2 does. It's scary to play as, because we have wingers that can not play in that position, in my opinion, because Wan-Bissaka is not a wing back, in my opinion. He's improved on his attack, yes, but he's not the greatest attacker. Williams, he's only developing into left back, let alone a left wing back. And the fact that James won't be utilised, Greenwood won't be utilised, Rashford, when he comes back, might have to play as a striker then, I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, I do. I agree with that. We'll have to see what happens. Just secondly, quickly before you go, What do you think about Ighalo then? I mean, you were saying there you don't know whether he's going to be any good. If I had to stick you on the spot, because I want to ask all the callers this, obviously May will come, hopefully. And what do you think in May? I mean, because I like Ighalo. Well, look, you have your say. What do you think? How do you think it's going to go? He's saying all the right things, isn't he? But it's...
Yeah, because I was watching his his first interview, and he's saying he's a childhood fan. He will try his greatest. He is a fast striker from what I've seen from Watford and all that. But the problem is, like, if he has a good season, will they sign him on a contract because some fans are chanting his name? I think it is possible. Personally, I think he will score a couple of goals off the bench, but I think he'll be playing more games than people expect. People think he's a squad player. I think he's going to be coming in and playing as a striker for a lot of games because we don't have the depth at the moment with Rashford injured. Martial's a little bit inconsistent because I think he's under pressure to score goals. James, this break could save him in my opinion though, because he gets a rest, he gets his confidence back, he's in training, maybe meeting fans, and that'll get him back. Like Ighalo, he might do well, but personally I think it won't be as good as some people might assume.
Great. Okay, I'm going to try and whiz through a few calls tonight, but thanks for opening up, and I'll speak to you again soon.
All right. Thanks for having me again.
Cheers, pal. Yeah, look, I'll tell you what, with Ighalo, what I would say is I hope he does well, because if he does well, we score goals, we get top 4, but I would not go anywhere near him in the summer. I wouldn't go anywhere near him in the summer. I think he's 31 in the summer. He is not what Manchester United have sold. This is, what we're talking about at the start, where Ollie's talking about time. This signing's not time. Ighalo's not the future. Ighalo is a short-term fix, and that's all he should ever be. Even if he scores 10, 15 goals, I still wouldn't keep him on, because we need a Timo Werner. We need a top quality striker. And my concern with this club, and you know where I'm going with this, I wouldn't mind keeping Ighalo if he could consistently get us 15 goals as a squad player over the next 3 years. That's absolutely fine by me. But my concern is that he's just a cheap option. He's a cheap option, and the club would go, oh, let's keep him and let's not go and get Timo Werner. And that's what I believe we need to do in the summer. If we keep Ighalo, it's luck. Woodward and Glazers, they're dancing around the maypole in the summer. They're having a great old time. The Morris dancing or whatever they're called. They're loving it. They've just saved themselves 60 million because that's what we need to spend on a striker. And I think if Ighalo ends up staying, we won't buy a striker. And we'll look, bottom line is Ighalo is never going to be a top class striker again. If he ever was, he's going to be an option. We need to close the gap on Man City and Liverpool. Ighalo ain't going to do that. We need to go and buy a striker that can do that, which is why not getting Erling Haaland was very, very annoying, because I think that striker, even though young, could have come in and closed the gap for us. But look, I hope Ighalo does well. I just hope that United don't go and buy him in the summer, because then they'll put the checkbook away in relation to a striker. I don't mind keeping... I mean, you could argue, let's keep Ighalo and bring somebody else in as well, but we won't do that because we'll have Greenwood, Rashford, Martial and Ighalo. We need to go out and buy somebody, as far as I'm concerned. But he could do well. He could get 10 to 15 goals quite comfortably. Who knows? I think there's going to be a lot more creativity in United after the break. Hello, you're live on the United Stand. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mark. How's it going?
It's good, mate. How are you?
Yes, it's been a long time coming.
What do you want to talk about, mate?
Oh, what do I want to talk about? that's definitely, I can write a book about that. I don't know really. I'm just sort of really... I was just talking with the lads in the Discord group, and I was just saying, I think it's really important for United fans at this moment in time to separate their emotion from reality. And I'm just sort of looking at, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's situation, whether I want him to go because the football will improve, or either no matter what coach we get, would he succeed or not? And I don't know. It's just I'm just sort of really trying to think about. Sort of lost words now.
So do you think, just to help you out on that, where do you sit at the moment with Ollie then? Because, some people are like,
well, to be honest,
now. Some are sacking him in, some are giving him another year.
I just lost my words then for a second. What I felt about Ollie was, I never thought he would win a trophy at United. No, never. I never thought he could compete with Klopp or Pochettino, and I thought he would come in and sort of lay the foundation. he would be the director of football off the pitch. He would sort of bring back that sort of winning mentality at United. But, the first, few months we saw that, like, before he took the actual job. But as he continued to play, after the summer tour, and then the stuff he started saying and going and going and going, and it just got so bad and bad and bad. And now I feel like, he's not that guy anymore. I don't know what his agenda is. I don't know what's happening behind behind curtains. So now I've come to the conclusion that he has to go. But would another manager come in? Would he succeed? I don't think so either.
Would you? I mean, because I've said, look, I would. The situation we're in now, Bruno's just come in. January transfer window's gone. I would wait till May now. Would you get rid of him now, or are you happy to just see how it goes?
Nah, you have to keep him until May. You have to keep him until May. To be honest, like, I think if he leaves now, it's just, there's still a lot of dead wood, such as Jesse Lingard, Phil Jones, and I feel like if he waits till May and he were able to sell a few more other players, possibly bring 1 and 2 in, I think that will make the transition for the next manager a bit more smoother. But I think getting rid of him now will just make the team much more toxic. I don't know, to be honest. I don't think that would be the correct decision. I know it's been a dire season. I know the football's been so bad. But my expectations, and I can remember, I think you tweeted in the beginning of the transfer, when the transfer ended in the summer, if only Gunnar Solskjaer gets top 4 with his team, he deserves the Ballon d'Or or something amongst them lines. So my expectations never, getting top 4. Even when we was like 1 point behind Chelsea, I was like, guys, we see this movie every single week. We're a few points behind and then we go and lose a few games. So I tell all United fans, like, don't stop getting your hopes up, because we are not getting top 4. That's just the reality, and we have to come to terms with that.
I think I sort of fell into that trap on Saturday. I was like, I know what Bruno's all about, and I just felt that he would push us over, and we still didn't win. What do you think about? I know we've spoken about Ighalo, Bruno Fernandes, the biggest signing we've made in a long time, I think, and certainly not a lone desperate deal from China. Ighalo's getting all the headlines at the moment because he's done his interview, but I think Bruno's more important. I mean, absolutely. Gary Neville said that he will take time to settle. I sort of think he won't. Well, what's your expectations of Bruno as a signing for United? Do you think he'll become a player that sort of that fails? I think you could look at Matic, Ighalo, Mkhitaryan, or do you think he will actually help us out this season?
I think he's got heart of a lion. I think he's going to hit the floor running. He's going to demand greatness. He wants to win. He reminds me of Cristiano's personality in one way or another. I know he's not as good as Cristiano, or he's not, obviously doesn't play the same position, but I think he's got a winning mentality. He's not going to be a flop by any means. Now, we've definitely got a gem on the hand, but he will be only as good as the way we put out the team to play. So, whether it's going to be success for all of us, we'll just have to wait and see. But I think we've got a gem for sure.
All right, mate. Well, thanks for calling in. First time caller, really did very well, and please do call in again.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your patience.
Cheers, pal. Thank you. Great call. Mark, I've never liked a right-footed left-back, and with Wan-Bissaka at right-back, would you give Brandon Williams a chance at right wing? Better choice than Delo, in my opinion, says Dominic Ashton. I know that Brandon Williams is right-footed, but I don't think it's that much of an issue. I think he uses his left absolutely fine. I wouldn't be moving Brandon Williams from left back at the moment. I think let Shaw and him play it out for that role, really. Sean O'Sullivan, people that were Glazers out from the start deserve credit. They were right. Also, not getting Champions League again this year would be a disaster. We should not be waiting for Ollie now. There's too much at stake. Yeah, well, look, Sean, I said this a few years ago with Van Gaal. I was like, sack him now around this time, and they waited till May, and I was like, sack him now while there's still a chance of getting top 4, and they didn't. They waited till May, and we didn't get top 4, which is what I and many other people predicted. United did have an opportunity to maybe sack Ollie in January and get somebody in. They've not chosen to do that. They've taken that risk. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. Neither do you. But you have a hunch. I actually can't even tell you what my hunch is. I don't know what's going to happen with United this season. I think under Van Gaal I could predict it, and I think under many managers you could predict it. We ain't getting top 4. I've even said this season we're not getting top 4. But this season is so different to any other season. Like, if this was a different season, I think it'd be going, we're not getting top 4. In fact, it would be already gone. But Chelsea have lost 8 games. They've lost 8 games. That's like a third of their Premier League games they've lost. So if they continue that run, if they continue to be consistent like that, then the door will always be open to top 4. And we've got the Europa League. So I can't actually sit here and tell you we're not. I would not say we're not getting top 4 at the moment. I would not say we're not going to get Champions League football. So, but on the other hand, I could not say to you we'll definitely have European football next year, whether it's Europa or Champions League. We might not have anything. I think all bets are off. I think anything is possible between now and the end of the season. And you know, we're already wandering into that area of short-term pain, long-term game. I've heard people say, I will sacrifice Champions League football and have another year in the Europa if it means Ollie gets the sack. I would like to see this club do something mature. I would like to see this club do something that's better for the club. I would like this club to get Champions League football and then maybe still make a change if we scrape it because Chelsea are crap. If we look, what? So explain that better. If we get Champions League football, but we do it playing the way we've played all season, not very well, we just grind out results, I would still make the change because we've been lucky, and I would, you know, a mature person who knows football would know a change is needed to be made. But what's going to happen at Manchester United, I do not know. Right, let's take another call. Who have we got in the waiting room? Oh, I haven't got anyone in the bloody waiting room. That's we did have some people in there, and it's all gone. Oh. Oh, well, hang on a minute, because I think we might get someone on. Sanchez is a Woodward mistake, says Michael Jones. There's plenty of Woodward mistakes. And the question is, even if we do get the best manager in the world, would Woodward give him the power to bring in players? Says Richard Mohammed Khan. Look, I can sit and say this honestly to you. United, if you change the owners to owners that want to do football things, and that could be the Glazers, they could suddenly get a conscience and say, look, we've taken so much money out of this club, let's actually turn it into a football club. If we got owners who want us to be successful on the pitch, you'll get all the changes you want anyway. Because owners who want to be successful on the pitch will get medical staff, recruiters, directors of football, the right manager, the right coaches, because they want to be successful on the pitch. That's the only change that will guarantee change for the better. You could sack Ollie and bring another manager in and you've still got the same problems in the club. The change that makes everything change is the change to being a football club, where we spend the money that we make on the football club. That is the change that everybody wants, and I think everybody's united about that, but I don't think it's the change anybody expects. I don't want to be in the Europa League anymore, says the Bit W. I'd rather be in the Europa League than nothing. I do not want weeks off. Like, I don't want a whole week off next season when everyone else is playing in Europe. What are your thoughts on reports that sponsors are getting annoyed with players being withdrawn of events due to the poor form on the pitch? I hadn't heard about that, Salah. I had not heard about that at all. Let's see if I can get another caller on. Hello, you live on the United Stand. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello, you live on the United Stand.
Hey,
Can you
Mark.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate.
Okay, what do you want to talk about?
I just want to talk about the coaching setup right now, because I think the players that we have, they are massively underperforming, to be honest. Like, we go on players like Martial, Andres Pereira. I think there is players in them, but this coaching setup is not able to do a job. If you look at Michael Carrick, he's still doing his coaching badges. I just don't trust the coaching setup right now.
And are you... I agree with you. What do you think about Solskjaer then and his future? Do you think there's any way back, or do you think it's just everything needs changing?
No. I think he will be gone at the end of the season, to be honest.
Even if we get
There is
Champions
no
League?
return. Like, we all know. Deep down, we all know what's going to happen. Like, do you think there is any comeback from Solskjaer?
I think if he gets Champions
I
League
don't
football,
think.
he'll stay.
I still believe, like, what's the point of getting in the Champions League? We won't be able to perform anyways. Like, in Champions League, if we get in the Champions League, we have to buy some players. Now, what players wants to come to us right now? Do you think Jadon Sancho would prefer us or Chelsea right now? That this is a big debate, because every single player that chooses us right now have destroyed their career. Just look at it.
You're absolutely right when you put it like that. I mean, I can't think of a signing that we've made in the last 6 years that could walk away and say, I've become a better player. I think some have maybe managed to stay at the same level, like a Herrera, but the vast majority of them haven't achieved that. So you're right. I mean, this is the risk with Bruno. Do you think Bruno will do well at United, or do you think he will go that route?
I don't know, but because it's all down to the coaching and how he is played. Like, I see the last game, he was playing as a deep line playmaker. What's the point of buying an attacking midfielder then? Where is Jimmy Garner? Where is Tahith Chong? Where is Angel Gomez? I just don't get it. I really don't get it. Like, half of the players that has left Manchester United are performing massively. Look at Lukaku. Look at Chris Smalling. Look at Memphis Depay. What's going on with the football club? I really don't understand.
I think,
mate.
You make a really good point there on players coming in and not doing well, and players going out and doing well. Even Kagawa.
Di Maria.
Yeah.
Look at Di Maria.
But it's difficult, isn't it? Because some of these players underperformed at United under different managers, and it happened with Van Gaal, it happened with Mourinho, it happened with Solskjaer. Why do you think that is? Because it's a United problem, but it's different coaching setups that they fail at, and then they go elsewhere and do well. It's almost like it's an institutional thing.
I believe Louis Van Gaal should have been given another year, because as far as I can remember, Pogba was Van Gaal signing, not Mourinho signing, and we had to stick to a philosophy. But right now we are sticking with the wrong manager.
Who would you like to come in?
We missed. Hello?
Yeah, who would you, if Solskjaer goes, who would you bring in, or do you think that doesn't solve the problem anyway because of the owners?
I just want a director of football before anyone comes in, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. But, if I put you on the spot then, who would you like to be United's next manager, presuming we get a director of football as well? Who are you happy with Pochettino, or you think that's a bad choice as well?
I would think Pochettino. Yeah, Pochettino, yeah. He would do a good job. Look at Spurs, where were they 5 years ago? And 5 years later, they're a Champions League permanent candidate.
Yeah, definitely. So, nearly title contenders a couple of times as well.
Yeah.
Just finally, Ighalo.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think about the Ighalo signing, and do you think he's going to be a success?
Well, I think he will be. Well, I'm sure he will score more goals than Falcao.
I'm sure you would as well. Right, well, thank you very much for coming on. Really, really good points. And please do call in again.
Sure, thank you, mate.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that. The line was breaking up a little bit, but it's a shame, really, because the comments were, the points were really good. Please do smash a like on the video for all our callers tonight. But, this is why I like doing the call-ins, because you get different sort of perspectives, different mindsets, different things that... And this is the brilliant thing about fan channels, because you have... Basically, it's fans, isn't it? We don't all agree, and we all go off on... If I say something like, I don't agree with what Solskjaer said today, there'll be 100 different roads that you're all going down, different ones with different thoughts. And what I liked about that last call there is how they quite rightly said, and I'm even in my mind, it's got me thinking based on what they said, because that's what it's meant to be. But so when he's saying, all these players we buy, they fail, they get worse, so why would anyone want to come here? And then when they leave, they get better. And he, Di Maria, Memphis Depay, Chris Smalling, Lukaku, they've all gone away from United and played better. And then, how many signings? He's right. How many players have we bought into this club over the last 6 years that have done well? And then how many of those players, when they leave, do better? But it's not Solskjaer's fault. It's not Mourinho's fault. It's not Van Gaal's fault. We've had different managers for those players. There's a recurring theme there. And remember what Woodward said. There's people our scouts have been here for 10 years. And there's your problem. There's your problem. It's the recruitment. It's the recruitment and the recruitment decisions. That's the consistent thing over the last 6 years. We've had different managers, but everybody's failed, more or less. And I think that goes down to the recruitment, and it goes back to Woodward's door again. How do I get permission to be in the waiting room, want to be live on the show, and give my thoughts on United and what the future holds for Ollie? Salah Army, I mean, look, it was an off-piste show today. It was really off the cuff, so the Discord link didn't even go out. So it was only the regulars who are in there. But the way that we do it is you just go and have your chats in the normal bit, and then you'll get pulled out if the mods like what you're saying, etc. So that's how it works on there. But I'll go through that again, how that works in future, so we can give the link out. Mide A says, hi Mark, again we know Ighalo is not what we wanted, but he has the experience to help our strikers. Also remember Sanchez is coming back. What do we do? Well, Sanchez isn't a problem till the summer, Mikey, but he is a problem. He is a problem. He's a very big problem. Please do smash a like on the video. I have to say this again. Tomorrow we've got a video going out which I implore you to watch. It is Munich Remembrance Day tomorrow. It is February the 6th. It's a massively important day for Manchester United Football Club, and we've got a follow-up interview with somebody who we had a little interview with, Chris, over in Munich at the 60-year anniversary 2 years ago. We got a sit-down chat with him, and very, very good interview. He was alive at the time when the tragedy happened, and he'll talk you through what it was like, how the club rebuilt from that. Really powerful. If you are a Manchester United fan, 20 minutes in your day, go and sit in the toilet and listen to it if you want to, but 20 minutes, you will really learn a lot about what this football club's about. And I just think if you're a United fan and you don't know much about 58, other than, you know, it was a tragedy and some players lost their lives, there's a lot more to it than that. And what you'll gain from it, I always say this, you'll become more of a fan from it. You will, because you will understand more about the football club from it. And you might love United now, but you'll love it even more when you know. And it's a fantastic story in relation to what Chris tells. It's not a fantastic story what happened. Manchester United's a fantastic story, though. I always say this. We are the greatest story that's ever been written. We're not just a football club. We had the tragedy, we had the resurrection, we had the wilderness years, we had the glory. Where are we now? But we are, you know, we're stronger as a club because of that tragedy and where we've come from. We're Manchester United. The United is the big hint, and it really saddens me how much division we have in the fan base, because those players died for Manchester United Football Club. You know, they were playing for Manchester United Football Club. That's why they were out there, and that should always be the thing in your heart that guides you. That Manchester United Football Club, it's more than a football club, and it's our football club. And it doesn't matter where you're from or how old you are. This is our club, and that is why there should be action taken to get our football club back, because these people who run our football club are not Manchester United football fans. They are businessmen who want money out of our club. So when you put it like that, 62 years ago, a fantastic team basically died. A lot of them died. The team was never played again. We had that. We came back from that. And 62 years later, we're being run into the ground by businessmen who don't give a shit. That isn't right. That isn't right. So people who are vocal about that, people who want to do something about that are right. And the fans should come together and be united and find a way to be united about that instead of arguing amongst themselves. But give the video a watch tomorrow. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you all soon.